Hey guys, how's it going? Um, it's been a minute since I've uploaded some videos. Um, a lot's been going on in my own personal life right now. I'm pretty sure you can hear from the sound of my voice. I've written down a couple things here to kind of give you all an update of what's been going on, because I think that I don't know. Something tells me I owe you an explanation. I don't know why. But yeah, just hit the quick ones, and I gotta say this is probably not gonna be a pleasant video, at least on my end. But I also feel like it needs to be said. So I understand if you don't like this video after what I have to say. Just understand that it's coming from a place of love, and if I cough or sniff a little bit, it's because of me being sick and everything, which will probably segue into that first thing I gotta say. Um, yeah, I've been sick. It usually happens whenever the seasons change from summer to fall and then from fall to spring. It messes with my sinuses, makes me all gunky inside, and it's a process. It's a slow process, but it's a process nonetheless. So, if my voice sounds froggy, or if I'm pausing for coughs and all that stuff, that's why. Like that. I really should be drinking water, but uh, anyway. So I am taking care of myself. Don't worry about that. But speaking of taking care of myself, um, I've been doing pretty good with my weight loss. In fact, this is going to be my first time in a long time. Going to be doing a fasting this weekend, so we'll see how that turns out. So if I don't if I don't sound as energetic and sound froggy, that's why. And I still hope and planning on recording some stuff if I got the energy for it this weekend. Um, if I don't, then that's why. Um, I just threw something up here, just something like that. Um, I kind of like the idea of putting a beard on Vivi. It's a little bit of myself and a little bit of what I like and all that jazz. So I've always thought that it'd be cool to have the outfit of a black mage with a little dwarven beard. I've always thought that looked cool. So who knows? That could just be my avatar moving forward. And put the corgi there because I thought corgis are my favorite dogs, and thought this one was probably the coolest dog I've ever seen. In regards to games coming up, I usually on it, not every day, but I usually frequent into the stream store to kind of look at some games where I'm piqued my interest. I'm like, oh, that'd be a nice little thing to record or something. One of the biggest ones coming up at the end of this month actually is Final Fantasy Tactics. So I am very, very excited for that one. Some details on that is that the game itself has classic mode and revamp mode. I don't remember, but there's apparently two versions of it, and there's the version that I remember playing the game as, and then there's a version that what at the time SquareSoft, now Square Enix, what they envisioned, what they truly wanted the game to be. So I don't know whether I want to record it as I remember it being, or if I wanted to do the newer version. Um, I think I'll probably side with whichever allows me to flex my my voice acting skills. I'll probably go with that one. Um, Other than that, I've also been working on building maps, D&D maps. One in particular is this campaign I wanted to host for anyone that was interested. It is the Crooked Moon one. I'll admit I was a bit ambitious with that one, a bit too ambitious, but I haven't given up on it. I was planning on trying to have it all done by the end of this month and have it up and running by October. And I quickly realized, along with other personal stuff that was happening, a bit more than I could chew. So I'm slow down a little bit when it comes to map building. I wanted to take my time with it and try to read through the story and understand it, so that way I'm not just juggling it and seeing if I can mold it and shape it to where it allows me to operate it the way I'd like it to be operated. So, and of course I've got others that I'm working on, but that one's kind of like my side passion project. And there may be times where I might just stream it as I'm building it, but I don't know if folks want to just see me for however long, roughly 2 hours of just going through the book itself and just reading through it and just silently and maybe sometimes awkwardly just reading it and just putting together the story. I don't know. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Um, so now comes the part that I'm not. This is the part that is probably the unpopular opinion, but being who I am, I feel that this has to be said on my end. And before I continue, I'll just say that these are my opinions alone. That what I stand for and what I believe in is in no reflection towards any um, organization or party that I'm associated with. That is including the United States Navy. This is purely my own opinion and not that of the Navy. So don't get it twisted. If you haven't heard, earlier this week, about actually 2 days ago, a man by the name of Charlie Kirk was killed during his open debates in Utah. He got shot in the neck, died instantly, according to reports, and he left this world with a wife and two very young children. If you're wondering why he got killed, he died because he had opinions that folks did not agree with. At its core, that was the reason. He died because what he stood for was so offensive to some that him just existing was a threat. It's not it's not the part of him dying that upsets me. It's a tragedy, don't get me wrong. You know, a man who is exercising his First Amendment and his right to freedom of speech and just wanting to have an open discussion with people died. It's not the fact that people will resort to killing another person for just having that stance. What really upset me and made me want to record this in the first place was was the response, I should say, from people who celebrated his death gleefully. You know, they were having celebrations. There were people saying you get what you deserve. There was somebody in uniform playing the music from Chicago, you get what you got, he got what he deserved. I thought that personally was dishonorable, being a military guy myself. But again, my opinion, not the military, not on behalf of the military. This is my opinion alone. And in my opinion, I think that if you're going to be wearing that uniform, you need to be neutral with that stuff. And you doing that stuff, sorry for my curse, but you're fucking dishonorable. You're a disgrace putting on that uniform and acting like a fool. As for everybody else who, I mean, there are things that I could say, things that deep down in my heart and in my sadness and anger and frustration that I could just say and just start screaming and cussing and just cursing, but what good would that do? What good would me stooping down to that level, what would that solve? It would leave me even more hollow. It would leave me more frustrated and depressed. And at the end of the day, they would win. They would get the rise that they would so desire. So, aside from what I felt about that person in uniform, I'm not giving anybody that satisfaction. But I'm not going to be sitting here quietly with my own thoughts and just let this go by, because if you know me enough, you would know that I am a Christian, a born-again believer. I am a man who believes that my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ died for my sins, and I've accepted him into my life when I was at the age of 15 and a half. And ever since then, I have been trying my best to walk my path in my life in the way that would honor my God. I never wish to push my beliefs on anybody else, because I think that is unfair to do that, to impose other people's lives and how they want to live their life. That's unfair. I may not agree with how people live or approve with lifestyles, but like I said, it's their life. It's not mine. And with that alone, I respect that. I respect that person. So as long as I'm given the same respect as well. When you think about it, take away religion, take away politics, take away all everyone's feeling right now, because all the feels. You dig into the core of this. We just witnessed something where a man died for voicing his opinion. And you haven't really seen something like that in a very long time, where someone died for that. In a country where, we either casually or boldly say that we have the freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of speech, all that sort of stuff. Well, where was his right? Why was his taken away? Well, because he was voicing his opinion. So then, by that logic, do other people who disagree with what others have to say, do they have a right to take that other person's life? No. No, there's no with that. What I'm trying to say is that this action that happened was unacceptable, no matter what side of the table you're on with this. And if you feel like this was justified, or if this doesn't give you pause for a moment to think that this is a tragedy, well, then that's part of the problem. You never saw him as a human being. You never saw him as a father. You never saw him as a husband. You never saw him as someone who just wanted to have a discussion. You saw him as an enemy. And you just couldn't handle the fact that he existed in your world. This is all unscripted, by the way. I didn't write anything down. That's probably why my brain is all over the place. Honestly, the first part of it that was the only part that was written down, and those were just bullet points of my updates and that stuff. As a Christian man, I am very saddened to see my brother in Christ die like this. I'm sad for his family. I mourned for him and wept and prayed. And of course, my heart breaks not just for him, but any time I hear about any of my other brothers and sisters in Christ all over the world being persecuted and dying for Jesus. I don't know how other folks feel about other Christians around the world being slaughtered and beheaded and killed out there. I don't expect them to. I don't expect them to care. I'm only telling you what goes through my heart and what goes through my mind. And it's depression. It's sadness. It's frustration. It's my soul crying out for justice. And my heart, again, breaking. Not just for Charlie Kirk, but for everybody else who died in Jesus' name. Or on his behalf, I should say. So, I do apologize if this video comes off as sad, depressing, or upsetting to, my usual viewers here. This will more than likely be the one and only video I will do. Because, much like in the gaming community and where I work and stuff, there's an unwritten rule where it's highly advised not to discuss politics and religion because it causes division. It causes sometimes malice. And like I said earlier, that I live my life through Jesus. I respect other people, how they live their lives on their own. And I do my best not to impose that on them because I don't know, because it's something that they probably didn't want. It wasn't asked for. So I respect that as best I can. However, this being my channel, this merely being a hobby of mine to just kind of play this out and see how much I like this and stuff, I felt compelled and obligated to say something at the very least. And I am sorry if anybody listening to this video all the way at this point, if you feel different about me, if you feel like I'm I'm an ignorant person, or if I'm stupid, or if I'm, oh, well, you're a good person. I really don't care. What I'm trying to say is I just don't care what people feel about me after what I say in this video. Because at the end of the day, I still love my family. I love my friends. All of my friends, no matter where they come from. I love you all very, very much. You're always in my prayers. You're in my thoughts. And if I sound different, or if I act a bit different, maybe this video might shed some light into my world. And if you're okay with listening to me rant for about almost 22 minutes about this stuff, I assure you, this is, like I said, this is probably going to be my only video that I'm going to do this, because I felt that this was significant enough for me to say something about it. I wish nothing but love and peace in all of your lives. If you're watching this, or hearing this, I should say, I pray that you find peace in your life, you find happiness in your life. But I also pray that all the love and peace I give to you, I pray that you may also do the same for somebody else as well. Because this world is a dark, dark place. And I like to not be a contributing member of that darkness. I'd much rather be a light, even if it's a small flickering match. I still would rather be a little light in this world. And if someone decides to snuff it out because they don't like it, well, that's what they did to Jesus. So, at least people can look back and say, well, at least he was trying to be a light of this world. It's not the reason I'm doing this either. Just saying what's on my mind and what's in my heart right now. It doesn't help that there's a garbage truck driving by, but what do they know? They're just going about their days. With that in mind, I just go about your day. Be with your loved ones. Hug them, kiss them, hold them close, let them know that you love them. Be with them. respect them. Show them that they matter to you and that you love them very much. So, I think that's a good stopping point, because that stupid garbage truck was just bashing away. And again, he's just doing his own thing. So, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much. When I'm feeling a little bit better, I'll get back into recording more of Final Fantasy IX stuff. And thank you for being patient with me and taking the time to listen to what I have to say. It really means a lot. And yeah. I love you all, guys. Be safe out there. Be kind to others. And may God bless you.